Oh, hey, I didn't see you there. Welcome back to another episode of Old World New Imports, the only show on the internet where we discuss colonization of various African countries. Today, we're going to be discussing the Portuguese colonization of Mozambique. Let's jump right in. Portuguese influence in Mozambique began in 1498 with the famous explorer Vasco da Gama. When he arrived in Mozambique, he sent off a Lorenzo Marques, who explored and founded the first colony, located in modern-day Maputo Bay. Over time, more and more settlers came, and many colonies were founded in the area. Portugal's occupation of Mozambique lasted until 1974. They were finally able to gain their independence in a civil war involving various other Portuguese-controlled countries. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. We still have to fill in a 498-year gap. From the beginning, the Portuguese' goal was to establish a thriving trade colony in Africa. While most imperialist countries were interested in proselytizing the natives and cleansing the savages, Portuguese were only really interested in expanding their mercantile influence. To start, modern-day Mozambique isn't really comparable to Portuguese-controlled Mozambique. Modern-day Mozambique is a semi-functioning, war-torn country, whereas Portuguese-controlled Mozambique was a sparse conglomeration of trading outposts, settlements, colonies, whatever have you. Most imperialist powers of the time were focused on the destruction of natives, taking their resources, and kind of milking the land in whatever way possible. Portugal saw it differently. What they saw was a vibrant trade opportunity in Mozambique. As a result of this, many of the natives were able to flourish under Portuguese rule. It wasn't until later, around the 18th and 19th century, that the natives really started to have an issue with Portuguese control. In fact, many of the natives were marrying Portuguese women and participating in the economy and adopting Western culture. In the 1830s, the Portuguese enacted a new initiative to have a more centralized authoritarian government. This meant that many of the natives were forced into tight living spaces in cramped villages and were forced to go through what was known as the Lyceus, which is a Portuguese education system that was very Eurocentric and kind of notorious for quashing any culture that natives might have. This was a very significant impact on the Mozambicans. In addition to this, the new governmental reforms came with a law code that stated if you do not follow the law code, you are not to be treated as a real citizen of Mozambique. And up to this time, despite Portugal claiming that Mozambique was a multiracial society, not following the law code could result in you not really being a citizen. So this was kind of difficult for a lot of Mozambicans. It was either submit to the power of Portugal or go on your own and live in squalor and poverty. So understandably, this caused a lot of issues in Mozambican society. In 1962, an organization known as Frelimo, or the Front for the Liberation of Mozambique, rose to power. They were a nationalist group that was focused on restoring power to the Mozambicans. Up to this point, Mozambicans really didn't have much say in the government. They couldn't vote, they weren't really considered citizens. While most of them were adapted to Western culture, they just weren't looked at on the same level as their Portuguese overlords. So, with the help of Frelimo and two other Portuguese-controlled countries, Angola and Guinea, they started the Portuguese Colonial War, which lasted up through 1974, so 12 years. At the end, Frelimo was able to prevail past Portugal through sheer force, determination, and some very good luck. In 1974 in Lisbon, there was a coincidental overthrow of the government known as the Carnation Revolution, which replaced the authoritarian, centralized government with a more left-leaning liberal approach. And nearly a year later, some negotiations with Frelimo, the new Portuguese government freed Angola, Guinea, and Mozambique, and they were formed as new countries. On June 25th, 1975, Mozambique as we know it today was formed, and they gained independence from Portugal. However, in 1977, a conflict between Frelimo, which was a communist group, and Renamo, which were anti-communist, began. This caused a civil war which lasted all the way until 1992. And even though Frelimo won, there is still mirth going on between both groups. And so Mozambique is kind of a hellhole today. But despite this, Mozambique's path to independence is inspiring. It shows that through sheer determination and patience, and maybe just a little bit of good luck, you can always accomplish your goal. This has been another episode of Old World New Imports. I hope you enjoyed, and we'll see you next week.